Your comments make the show better. Send us your thoughts live on our Facebook channel to be the star of today's show. Can't catch us live? Hit us up on our other social media channels to have your say. For now, welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show.
Here you go.
Hey, good morning, Canada. Canadian sports fans around the world, welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show on this Monday morning. Thanks for joining us for coffee. Episode 169 of Canada's only live morning sports talk show is taking flight now. I'm your pilot, Rod Pedersen. He's the co-pilot, Darren DuPont. Hi, Dupes.
Good morning.
Are you ready for a fun show today?
I'm ready.
I think everybody's ready.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very fun weekend.
It was.
A very fun weekend, of course. Super Bowl 54. The Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. The sad thing is, if you are so inclined, the football season is officially over. If you believe that. I'm not one of those because we got CFL free agency coming up and that whole offseason calendar. But as far as games, it's over. But that's the only dry spot on the ski hill that I'll throw out here today because, between Battle of Alberta and the Super Bowl, and the provincial men's tankard, and we got the Regina boys going off to the Briar and Kingston, the Dunstone rink. I think there's a reason to be smiling around here, getting down in this town.
There is. It was an amazing weekend, wasn't it? It was really great. So, there's lots to talk about today.
Couple things before we get rolling. One, the guest list today. I'm very excited to have Mike Abu-Meshrik in the bunker today. Hello, Abu. Hi. The guy who stood up our Super Bowl party because he was hosting his own Super Bowl party. But he is quite the chef to the stars. So I get it, but I want to get his take on CFL bidding season being open, this whole new free agent negotiation window that for the first time ever, we're now smack dab in the middle of. And what a lot of the talk on the weekend was players being cut the day before a scheduled bonus.
Yep.
And everybody's talking like this is new.
It's not new.
No, and I'm just so used to it. Am I just the jaded grump? Or are people just not getting with it and I'm ahead of the times? That's what I'd like to think.
Yeah, it happens in the NFL too.
Yeah.
Guys get cut. Now, when you reach a certain value level, teams really have to weigh, okay, do I want this guy to be a free agent or do I want to pay him the bonus and have him stick around? When you're a certain level of a star, it becomes a little bit more of a question for the organization and you have that value. But yeah, it's tough. It happens all the time. But the other counterpoint I heard is if there wasn't the bonuses and players who are under contract and aren't due these big bonuses, they can be cut the day before free agency. They can be cut right before training camp opens or during camp or, a little bit later on. I've seen, as a champion of youth sports, the one thing that's been frustrating sometimes is you'll see players get signed. Braden Deschamps, the former running back at UBC, got signed by the Riders. And so you don't go anywhere else. You don't take another offer and you get cut right before training camp and your opportunity is gone. So at least this gives players an opportunity to get that news before free agency, and now you've got an opportunity to actually find another team. So there is a positive.
I want to pause for those watching on Facebook Live this morning. They'll notice a bit of a difference, and Clark warned us of this last week. It's a small difference, and I'm not the tech guy. I just sit here and talk. I hate the term, but as they say, I'm just the talent. As if everybody around here doesn't have talent. I hate that term. But I'm just the talker. I'm not the tech guy. Do you want to explain what's going on here? Or do you even know? Is this a Clark thing?
No, it's a Facebook thing. Okay. With the way our comments are moderated, they've made a change to the program. So their comments are going to look a little bit different. So we're playing around. We're going to be trying out some different
this is temporary,
style.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
no ticker across the bottom of the screen. The comments look a little different. Other than that, we're good to go.
Oh, yeah. Show's going to look and feel the same.
Yeah. On the bonus thing, and that's why I want to boost take. That's why I have the former pros in here. Because a bunch of talking heads and reporters sitting around a table can't answer the questions that Abu can. So I'm looking forward to that. People are writing in now. Mick Panko writes in and he says players negotiated into their contracts. They have some ownership in it too. I agree. Why? No, I'll put it right on the agents. Why are they putting these bonuses in for February 1st or any off-season date, but particularly those just before free agency opens? I'm almost at a point of not blaming the teams anymore. They're doing what's best for them. The agents are supposed to be doing what's best for the players, and it's clearly not what's best for the players. Now, that's my take. Abu might have a different thought on that. We're getting hung up on one point here, which I knew that we would, but Mike Abu-Meshrik, 10-year pro, CFL champion, Grey Cup champion, will be in here. Justin Dunk of 3 Down Nation, somehow going to find time to join us because he's one of the busiest guys right now in bidding season in the CFL. He'll give us the latest. Aaron Grymes of the BC Lions, former Edmonton Eskimo, Philadelphia Eagle DB, now the BC Lions, will be with us. And Clark's telling me that he's had to move up his time, Aaron Grymes. Grymes did. So he's going to be here in the Rollout for Flooring Superstore. I'm looking forward to that visit.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
And thanks to the BC Lions for putting him on and promoting the appearance and all the rest. Great guys out there with the BC Lions. And a little bit of a trip down memory lane. Jason French will be with us today.
Whoa. Yeah, that is a trip down memory lane.
Number 87, Canadian wide receiver for Canada's team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Jason French will be joining us today. Kudos to Clark for digging him up. Reading some of the comments as the wall goes along, it's going crazy, man. Really going crazy. Chris Cooper in Southern Ontario celebrating the signing of Cameron Judge. That's a big signing for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 200,000 plus, we're hearing. And with Cody Fajardo making 400,000 plus now, there's a few guys that are going to be squeezed out here.
Yeah.
They're going to be squeezed out. That's the way it goes, folks. And as I wrote in my Monday morning goalie column today, this is salary Tetris. Jeremy O'Day's trying to fit all the salaries in. There's not going to be enough room for everybody.
Yeah.
And I get that everybody wants to be an armchair general manager in this province and have been for 100 years. Homie here don't play that game. I don't want to be a GM, so I don't care. I'll judge them in November, how this all worked out. I get that people want to, get their pencils and papers out and do all the salaries. Not me. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
Do you like doing that?
No, because it's so hard to do. And I mean, a little to an extent, but no, I'm more about looking at the roster and more about, okay, how are they going to work the guys that they've got into the lineup and who's available in free agency. But no, I'm not squeezing the salary cap. Now that can be fun. Now the problem is all the salaries aren't known and they're not all public. So that becomes an issue. In the NHL, it's really great because you have things like you had, Cap Geek, and you had a few different ones where players could play around and try and figure out, okay, how are we, who's available? And instead of just trying to go crazy after your general manager and say, you got to sign this guy and this guy and this guy, you can actually be like, wait a second, here's who's in our price range and who we could actually sign and for how much. So it can be exciting, but it becomes a little bit, yeah.
I apologize that Abu-Meshrik's jumping around like an orangutan on the couch there. He's laying down. He's standing up, jumping all over. Listen, meditate. Woo-sa. Slow your mind down. He'll be up next segment. Jason Fichter from the Rider Prider fan page writes in, he's been one of the forerunners of information through this free agency period. Through this entire offseason, actually. He says, hearing that the Riders and Shaq Evans are close to a deal, it's just a matter of paperwork. Thank you, Jason. We will await news on that, and thank you for allowing us to air our program within your Facebook group. So those are some of the guests. That's the one big topic, and I haven't even got to the Magnificent Seven show topics yet.
That's insane.
So 1, Super Bowl 54, Chiefs 31, Niners 20. We'll get to that. Point 2, the halftime show, which is our poll question today. I'm not going to blurt it out now, but I will by the end of the roll-up. Number 3, Battle of Alberta was, to me, at least as much fun as the Super Bowl. Saturday night, Flames Oilers. You were calling the Blades game against Lethbridge. At what time did you realize all hell was breaking loose in the Saddledome right around the same time?
Yeah, I knew it as soon as we were off the air. We missed most of the first period of it, so I, did my duties, got my post-game interviews in, finished up that, and hit the road. And I'm getting gas, and I'm watching on my phone as I'm sitting at the pumps. And then I get a little further down the road, and my phone starts going ding, 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 and I'm like, I got to pull over and I got to see what's going on. And I didn't even have to. I watched the game later, watched the highlights. I was just watching the comments and the fans going back and forth. That was fun. That was fun.
For sure. And so I'm watching once a month, and I will take credit for this. I started family night a couple of years ago, whereby my wife's family, we all get together once a month. It's various things. Go to a movie, go out for supper, maybe all of that. This night it was come over to our house, and they played games while I watched Hockey Night in Canada. Everybody wins. I think. I get to watch hockey, and they play card games. It's perfect. And so when the little mini fracas was going on in the corner, including Cam Talbot, and Mike Smith skates all the way out to center ice for the Oilers, their goalie, I'm like, he's not. There's no way he's not. All of a sudden, he is! And then Talbot kind of away. I couldn't believe it.
I know.
It was amazing. Now, to your point, the next morning when I get my email from NHL.com, like you can sign up for, no photos of the fights, no highlights of the fights. So it goes back to the fact that the NHL doesn't want to promote fighting. And I want to debate that throughout the program and probably throughout the week, to be honest with you. Because I put it in my Monday morning goalie column. I don't understand why the suits are so against fighting in hockey. And that includes hockey guys. Bill Chow, the president of the SJHL, is a hockey guy. Ron Robinson, Richard Dirksen with the WHL are hockey guys. They don't want fighting. NHL, Gary Bettman is not a hockey guy, but he's been in the role so long, he's kind of become a hockey guy. Bill Daly, I would call a hockey guy, and certainly George Paris. Well, he was a fighter. It was a little hypocritical that he doesn't want it, but I digress. People writing into me saying today, it's because of injuries, it's because of CTE, it's because of this and that. So what? UFC MMA still has contact. NLL still has contact in fights. So why does hockey have a problem with it and those sports don't? And I know a lot. Kevin Killer Kaminsky sat in that chair right there. Nobody's fought more than him. 50 years old. He's fine. As far as I know, he's fine. You may, and feel free to disagree with me.
No, I again, as I often do, I kind of see both sides to it. I don't see a big need to promote fighting in your highlights or in the news article on a nightly basis. But when it's part of the storyline of the hockey game, you can't ignore it. And the emotion...
But they are ignoring it.
I know. And the emotion between Edmonton and Calgary, the Battle of Alberta, those fights are a huge part of the storyline. So it's not... If you have a mandate that we don't show our fights in the highlights on the official NHL app, that's where it came from when I was trying to watch the highlights of the game on the 29th. I'm like, he didn't show the fights. And it really bothered me. And I get that. You're not going to maybe show a fight that doesn't really matter to the storyline of the game, but this is a big part of the storyline, big reason why people are watching the game and watching those highlights. You got to show it.
We've got viewers chiming in from Switzerland this morning. Ryan, good morning from Switzerland. I know this isn't the Switzerland flag, it's Norway, but I just want to symbolically say good morning. And we're pausing the Magnificent Seven show topics after 3. Because we're going out on video chat right now as promised. Aaron Grymes of the BC Lions joins us. He's got a doctor's appointment, Aaron. Would I be correct in saying that? Is that the best way to say that you got to get to this morning?
I do. I have a follow-up appointment for my knee.
All right. Well, first of all, Happy New Year. I know we're into February, but it's the first time you've been on this program. And congrats on the new deal. Things seem really good in your world right now.
They're going great, man. Rehab is going awesome. You know, like you said, I just signed my new deal. So that gives me a bit of confidence, obviously, going into the season off of a injury. And, you know, I can't complain.
Just ahead of BC Lions talk and your role there, Super Bowl 54. Who were you pulling for? What did you think of the game? And, yeah, what were your thoughts?
I was pulling for the Chiefs. I'm a Seattle fan. I'm a Seahawks fan. So I couldn't see the Niners win the Super Bowl. So that made me really happy. But, you know, overall, you know, as cliche as it sounds, I was hoping I got to watch a good game because my team wasn't in it. And I like to say, you know, I got to watch a very good game there until the last, you know, minute or so.
It was outstanding.
It was a great game. It really was. As we're sitting around, ballers, we're watching it at the Super Bowl party. And one of the things that came up during all the pregame was, man, it'd be great if the Grey Cup could grow to something a little bit more like this. So we're watching The Rock introduce the Chiefs and the 49ers, and that was pretty cool. So if it was the CFL, who would be the guy in Canada that you'd want announcing the BC Lions as you guys get ready for the Grey Cup?
I feel like you got to bring The Rock back in, right? Like you just said, why not? He was in the CFL for a short stint. I mean, I feel like that's something that, you know, some guys a lot higher up in the pay scale than me might be able to convince him to do.
That would be really cool.
Yes, no kidding. Yeah. So Regarding the BC Lions in 2020, you made the choice to re-sign there, Aaron. What's exciting with that football club and your involvement?
I'm excited to get things turned around, man. I really enjoy the process. I enjoy the grind. I enjoy the underdog kind of mindset, So, obviously what we did last year was not up to expectation. And, we kind of were getting laughed at and things like that. So, with the whole new coaching staff and guys being re-signed, keeping that core together and being able to turn things around is something that I'm very, very excited to do with this upcoming season.
Where do you think you are in your career? Are you entering your prime? Are you in your prime? How do you see it?
I like to think that I'm in my prime. I'm 28 years old now, and I feel like the mental part of my game is catching up to the physical part of my game, which is kind of where I feel like when you meet that peak. And I feel like I'm right there with my career, and I'm going to try to obviously hold on to that as long as possible.
You have bounced around. Anybody looks at your Wikipedia page, you played for a few teams. Is BC a place, obviously, if you like the Seahawks, you're a West Coast guy. Do you like that Vancouver lifestyle? Is that a place where you're hoping to settle for a while?
I love it. I love being in Vancouver. I was born and raised in Seattle, so I'm 3 hours north of where I was born and raised and, where most of my family is at. So I can't complain at all. I'm a huge West Coast guy. The weather, is what I'm used to. So I love being in BC.
Grey Cup champion 2015, played for Jones there, CFL All-Star in 2015, that same season with the Eagles, as I mentioned, in 2016, and then back to the Eskimos for 2017, 2018. If I may, how did you get to the CFL in the first place? Were you a Chris Jones find or a Paul Jones find, or how did you get up here in the first place?
I was actually a Torrey Hunter find.
Okay.
He was my defensive back coach in college at the University of Idaho. And, I just kind of told him, I said, I don't care where I have to play when I get done with college. I just want to make sure I keep playing. And he had a really good relationship with Ed Hervey, who was the GM of Edmonton at the time. And so they got me put on the negotiation list, which I had no idea what that was. But I got put on a negotiation list, and, when Green Bay didn't keep me after their rookie minicamp, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, I was signing a contract to come play in the CFL, and that's how I ended up in Edmonton.
And I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place with my questions here. I'm just excited to talk to you this morning, to be honest with you. But a new coaching staff with the BC Lions under Rick Campbell. We had Lamar Durant on, and Lamar said he talked to Rick just before the news conference when he was introduced. Have you had the opportunity to talk to Coach Campbell and the new defensive staff?
I have, actually. I was so kind of ironic. I met Coach Campbell at the Grey Cup in Edmonton. Just a brief meet and greet, and we shared our respects for each other. I heard a lot of great things about him, obviously. And then he was hired as the coach, and I got his number from Ed Hervey, and I sent him a text, just exchanging phone numbers, so we had each other's contact, and he called me about 10 minutes later. And we had a good little conversation for, just a few minutes. He was busy. I was running around with my kids. So just a brief conversation, but I'm looking forward to playing for him. I reached out to a lot of players who have played in Ottawa or who knew him, and I've only heard great things about him and his coaching style. So I think it'll be a great season.
With your Seattle roots, are you carpooling with Mike Riley at all? Do you plan to?
I'm carpooling with TJ Lee. I drove to training camp last year, so he's going to be driving to training camp this year. He doesn't know yet, but maybe he'll hear it on this show.
All right, and let me just ask you this. What has you excited about the Lions in terms of, you look at that West Division, it's always a meat grinder. Where do you see you guys fitting in? What's it going to take to get into the playoffs, maybe even host a game and lift a championship over your head? Is this team going to be good enough to do that?
Well, man, I don't want to start throwing out expectations too early before free agency comes and guys get signed, but just as a competitor, I see us fighting for the West Division title. It was easy to say that last year as well with the names we had on the roster, and things didn't turn out that way. So I'm not going to be the guy who sits up here and promises this and that, but I promise to bring this competitive edge and this leadership to the locker room, so when we do get surrounded by the right guys, and I know we have the right coaching staff now to make these things happen. I feel like if we can compete in the West, which I 100% plan on doing, then, we're going to be a force to reckon with. Because like you said, that West is so competitive and such a grind just to get out of. If we can get ourselves in a position to win some football games early on in the season and build some momentum, man, we're gonna be a problem.
Well, Aaron, thanks so much for this. I can see why the guys speak so highly of you. You seem like my kind of guy. So good luck with the rehab, and we'll see you here down the road.
Thank you, Rod. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on your show this morning.
Aaron Grymes of the BC Lions, and I bet you it's a huge relief for him, Dupes, to be signed ahead of free agency, not having to field all these offers, and just go about your business.
Exactly. You can sit back, just take care of your knee, do all the business you need to do, and be ready for camp. It's a big piece, a big signing. He's a big part of what BC's doing on the defensive side of the football. So that's exciting. I'm excited already, and it's only early February
3rd.
Yeah.
We are off to a great start. When we come back, Mike Abou-Meshrik in the bunker. Also on the way today, Justin Duncan, Jason French. This is the rollout for Flooring Superstores and the Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook Live, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.